Everything said on this podcast is entirely for entertainment purposes only. This is satirical and should not be considered clinical advice. In any situation, please use your own clinical judgment, using your own knowledge, expertise, and research. Consult with your local eye department if you are unsure, and always act in the best interest of the patient. Do not listen to the things that we say and take it seriously.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Glasses Half Full podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Today we'll hopefully be discussing balancing university life with maybe a part-time job or studying whilst in pre-reg, which I think is the hardest and the main part. And even on top of that, the education doesn't stop. So CET points and so on and so forth and further degrees with working.
You mean binocular balancing studies with work?
Yes.
The titles have puns in them now.
For like 2 episodes and then
Then
they'll stop.
Back to the boring title.
Stay tuned next week for fixation, disparity between what university teaches you and the real world.
There you go, that's next week's episode.
He came up with these.
I mean, I didn't make them puns.
Why are you making editing so difficult?
Well, that can stay in.
Of course it's staying in.
So why are we making it different?
We're doing one take.
I'll watch it.
There's no, we're not cutting any of this out. This is going to be a
I'm
one
just
take.
going to cringe whilst I watch.
You
Okay,
can
that's
cringe,
fine.
that's fine. Now you've got 20 minutes.
So, in university, I worked. Technically, I had 2 jobs. Okay, you worked.
Yeah, I did work, yeah.
You
I did not.
are a pampered princess with a silver spoon who didn't work until the pre-reg began. Correct?
I did a summer placement.
You did a summer placement, which
I
was
also-
mandated.
Yes.
Compulsory.
Yeah, but I didn't do the obligatory 2 weeks. I did about 6 to 8 weeks of it.
Wow.
And in the summer between first and I don't want to brag, but in the summer between first and second year, I did some shadowing.
How did you balance that?
I did some shadowing for a few days.
A few days of shadowing. I cannot
About a
think of
week.
anything more dire.
About a week. Well, I did it in a range of different practices. I did it in the community practice, and then I did it at hospital as well.
Okay, that's different. I'm thinking.
Wait,
I was
so did
thinking
I.
you're following an OA just around a store.
Oh no, not no way. I was following
Wait,
the
wait,
optometrist
so did I.
in first and second year.
Yeah, we both were allocated to hospital.
Oh no, I'm not talking about the university one. I'm talking about in my own time.
Oh, you did it in your own time?
Yeah.
You just followed around it. You just sat with an optom.
I reached out to an optom in my area.
So okay, this is good. How did you go about that?
Oh, it's a very, very difficult process. You got to cold email or cold call every single optometrist or optometric practice in your area or outside of your area.
How many did you call?
I emailed about 10, 15.
And how many got back to you?
One.
One.
Oh no, actually
okay.
two. One did. I won't say the name of the multiple, but he asked me to meet up with him, and then I said, "Can you meet me for coffee?" And then I met him, and he said, "Oh, just come into the store." And then it was literally a formal interview, which I wasn't ready for. And then it was basically just like a really intense, like, "Oh, where do you see yourself in 5 years?"
Are you
And
kidding
what
me?
makes
Or are
you
they shadowing?
no,
You
this
actually
wasn't
shadow.
shadowing. This was shadowing. This was just like, "Oh, just pop in. I'll have a chat with you."
For what? What did you ask for?
I asked for like some placement or some work experience.
Okay.
And he said,
Okay.
"Come in, we'll have a chat." And then it was a very intense kind of. At one point he said, "Take this pen and paper, sit in the waiting room for the next 10 minutes, and just write down the things that you see and observe the practice and get a feel of the practice."
I just walked out then.
Yeah, I would've
Thanks for
done
the pen, buddy.
Thanks for the pen. No, and then
That's
he
just effort.
and then he said something about, "Oh, we'll reach out to you if there's any placements."
Wait, was this
any-
for a job or was it just a placement?
I said I was a job and placement kind of thing. I said I'd love some experience. If there's any vacancies for a part-time OA, then I'm yours. If it's just a week of shadowing, that's great too. I just want some experience at this stage.
So you got into contact
I just spam emailed everybody.
and you got two places back.
2 places.
Two people got back to you. One of which was a bit weird. The other one. Is
The
a
other one
place-
said, "Come in and shadow me for a bit."
And how long did you shadow them?
I got about 4 days out of him. Said, no, sorry, 3 or 4 days.
So 3 or 4 days, so about half a week.
But it was the optom who did. So he ran. He was a small business owner. He was an independent. But he
Independent,
owned it with other people. So some of the days he was working in hospital as well in
okay.
Bradford. So he said, "If you got to train up, I'll take you in with me to wards, and you can."
That's really helpful of them.
That's really
Yeah, I wasn't
That's really-
technically allowed to be there.
Was this in between first and second?
Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool.
Oh, you really went above and beyond. That's really nice to see some people to actually care about the future.
Yeah,
I
I'm
would
lucky
never
that
let a
you-
kid shadow me.
No.
I've had work experience. I've had kids
No.
come from work experience.
I've actually had people shadow me.
I've never
Yes.
had anyone shadow. Nobody's asked.
I
Nobody.
enjoy that.
Nobody's asked me yet. I sometimes get the 16-year-old who comes in for an eye test and they say, also, what degree do you do, what grades you need, and I want to do this, and what
I
university you
think
go
in
to.
the 1 year that I've been qualified, I've had like 3-4 people shadow me.
Yeah, I've had 3 people ask. 2 pre-regs,
Yeah,
1
like
work
people
experience. It's I really don't.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
What pre-reg is shadowing you? They know how to do the job.
No, I know, but
They're your colleague.
I don't know if it was just a place I
After
worked.
stage 2 that you're colleague.
I don't know if it's just a place I worked, but for new pre-regs, they would just advise, just to get, you just see how it goes.
I thought that would be very beneficial to me, and I asked for it. I got about 2 tests worth of shadowing allowed. I was allowed to shadow for about 2 tests.
Okay.
And then it was back on the shop floor, mate.
All right, okay.
Get answering the phones and doing the confirming.
You know what? I didn't really like shadowing, but out of being in the store, it was the best thing that I would like to go shadow, just because I hated dispensing that much.
So during university, you had a job. You worked at the same multiple that you currently work at. Not the
No.
same multiple, but the same brand.
Same brand, different store.
Different store. Okay.
It was the same multiple that I did my pre-reg in as well.
Okay. So you had a lot of continuity with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. And before you stabbed them in the back.
Yeah. You mean leave?
You're well within your rights. You did what was in best interest for yourself.
Career progression,
Yeah. No. You do. Yeah.
treason,
I think they're the same.
somewhere in between.
How dare you treat employers how they treat you? How dare? So it's Did you find that helped? So you were an optical assistant,
Yeah, I was
starting
officially
from zero.
Yeah.
No optic experience, jumped in.
Well, I had 1 year of uni under my belt.
Okay.
So no optic
So no,
experience.
no optic experience. But you think you know.
Yeah.
But when you start, and at the end of first year, you don't know how to dispense. You don't even know how to pre-test.
No, I don't think I didn't know what dispensing was at the end of the first year.
Okay, so when
That
you
wasn't
started,
it.
when you turned up on the first day of your job, and they said to you, "Here's a lady who wants some varifocals," what did you say?
Oh, I didn't do any of that.
What did you do for the first?
To begin with.
So okay.
So you were paid to shadow.
No.
No,
Let's break it down. Let's break it down. So you started off just weekends.
So no, let me see. I basically a friend of mine already worked there, and I asked them if I could contact the director to shadow like a week or 2 there, and they allowed me to do that. So I shadowed the director. They showed me around the store. I shadowed dispensing, contact lenses, collections, pre-test, everything. And towards the end of my shadowing as well, I started doing some things also. I started pre-testing as well.
So you were just
So how long-
free unpaid labor.
Well, no, because I was always supervised at all times. But like, I started doing like.
It was more a hindrance than a help.
Someone had to be
big-
How
had someone
far
had to
back did you
babysit.
set the clinic?
For
How many locums?
that 2 weeks.
How many locums shouted at you because they left at 6?
Oh no, no one. No one.
Okay. So and that was for how long?
So I did 2 weeks placement basically.
So that was your first introduction, 2
that
weeks
was-
solid.
Yeah. But then after that 2 weeks, I applied for a job there.
Did you just ask the director?
I was like, can I apply to work here alongside my studies on the weekends? And then they asked for an interview, but the interview was more like, when can you start, rather than an interview. Because
Rather than what he got, a pen and a paper.
Yeah, nothing like that. Mainly because I was there for 2 weeks and they just saw.
Yeah, obviously they've had their trial.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like Saturday, Sundays for my first year of uni, well, for the second year, but the first year I was working with Saturday, Sundays. But I also said if them to allow me to have unpaid leave within exam periods. So I had 3 months of no work and unpaid leave because I was doing exams. Which they agreed to, and they give holiday. They were really like relaxed about all of that. But yeah, so weekends I was working there. At the start they put me on pre-test because that's the only thing I genuinely knew how to do. Because it's not that tricky pre-test. Arrive, press some buttons, off you go.
Okay.
And then I started doing dispensing and single vision.
Okay. And that helped you when you started your pre-reg, because then the dispensing, I would imagine, just
So what helped me during the period was not the knowledge that I had, because I don't think
It was more the application of it.
it was more how you work in a store. Because uni.
What do you mean by that?
So uni teaches you
How to
all the
measure a
theory.
varifocal, how to
Exactly.
measure PD, and what the techniques are of a site test.
Yeah, uni teaches you what you need to, like, what every single measurement is, or what every single test is, and what it does and what it means. So you know basically everything that you need to know within your career. But then when you're working, you apply that to what's necessary.
Okay.
So let's say, I don't know, splay angle. You measure that. You measure that in uni. I don't think I've ever measured it at work. Shocker. Or you know what? Even like I when I was
Even like PDs and like
Even
BBD and
PDs,
stuff.
But like, for example, like one
Measure
example was BBD. So when I was a pre-reg, and whenever I actually dispense and I feel like it's needed, I always did like BBD and stuff. But there were people that just put in random numbers.
Yeah, just chuck 9 in.
Just chuck a 9,
Yeah.
chuck a 9, chuck a 12, chuck a 11, whatever. I always like measure, especially with the high RXs. I always measure.
I know his BBDs are going to come back. Like, why is it 24 BBD?
No, I wouldn't do that. I
The
put
glasses
it
are off the
right
face.
Oh, yeah.
Why is the BVD 123?
But I would alter the prescription. I would pull out my calculator, calculate the.
You do, what's the BBD formula, Manny?
I don't know now.
Oh my
I'm not. That's in pre-reg bit. But like, that's how like extra I would be.
Okay.
And how many retests came back?
Oh, I didn't have many retests at all. Like, that's the thing. So the reason why they loved me at dispensing so much is because whenever I did anything, I never had any retests.
Because you spent 3 hours with them measuring,
Yeah,
measuring their splay angle.
Yeah.
How many refunds? Let me rephrase. How many refunds did you have?
Okay.
Where they just said, "I'm not even coming in for a retest. I don't have the time for this.
So
I
that's,
don't want to sit with that guy again."
it's not worth it.
I spent 20 minutes in the site test room and an hour this guy measuring my face up.
They just kept the glasses, just didn't wear them. They didn't want to come back. Okay, so, and you think that learning how the store runs and learning what's applicable, that's what helped you?
That was, I think the biggest help with me was just the interface and how everything runs. So, like, I don't know, what do you do when once you dispense, how do you figure out the pricing? Or what do you do once you've dispensed and you want to put the order through? Or like, what happens if you hit like trouble and you need to order a specific prescription or specific lens? Like that kind of stuff, like I picked up in my years as a uni student rather than during my pre-reg. So when I was in my pre-reg, I already knew all of that. So I was just working and I knew everything already, so I was just logging it. So it was much easier to get used to work life because I already knew how everything worked.
Yeah, I think you should grow up and learn it in pre-reg like a normal person does.
Normal? I think you were the exception. Well,
No, I learned
know.
it. I learned it in my summer placement. I learned how the system worked. But like, if I come across a problem with a lens, I'll just ask the OA what to do.
I don't think you learned it as well as me because
I didn't learn it.
because when I say I learned the system, I knew things about like you know, like sales reports and things like that. Like just weird
sales reports, like the thing on the big button on the home screen that you press and it loads it up.
Yeah, but like, or like little ways or little tricks to navigate through the interface a bit quicker. Like I figured out all of this. And like,
tell me your secret routes through the interface.
I knew the interface better than people that have been working there for like 12 years.
It's a very
Okay,
straightforward interface.
So that completely negates your point of working there
There's
prior
a next.
It does help.
No, but if people working there 12 years, it didn't help them.
They just do what like.
So that's a personal thing. It's not. It's not.
No, but the
No,
thing
my
with me
director.
was, I went on literally every single department. People in that store, they were like 12 years in one department.
Ah, okay. So I understand.
So I was like very versatile in the store. Even in pre-reg, it was to this point where like let's say they were short staffed in one area. They're like, can you cover for this area because you know how to do it and you do it well. So they just put me on.
So okay, and that was because of working there
I
outside.
would say, especially with things like pre-reg, pre-testing, and even dispensing, things like that. Because I knew how to do it pretty well, and I was quite quick at pre-testing as well.
What is the maximum amount of time that a pre-test should take?
I mean, if it was up to me, I would say maximum amount that it should take or average amount.
No, maximum means maximum.
No, because if you have some poor lady that's 82 on a wheelchair and
Yeah.
can't fit onto
Yeah, go on. Keep going.
Yeah, go on. How long should that take?
Well, that can take up to about 15 minutes.
There you go. That's your answer.
And that's the wrong answer. A pretest should never be more than 10 minutes. On
Who said
average,
that?
it should be
Who
5.
said that?
I said that.
Okay.
A pretest should be 5 minutes, maximum 10.
Right.
If they've got
Anything that the UAC said.
if they've got
What?
physical impairments that prevent them from reaching the machine, then you can have 10 minutes. Other than that, pretest is 5 minutes.
So you felt that you weren't hindered or hampered through not working at your chosen multiple prior to starting your pre-reg?
No, because that's what the summer placement's for. You do 6
And you
to
feel
8
that
weeks.
2 weeks, or 6 to 8 weeks, in your opinion, was enough time?
More than enough.
Okay. And you feel it did help you because you learned.
I couldn't dispense varies at the end of it, but I was okay.
So that
learned that in
ate
pre-reg.
into your pre-reg time,
No,
with-
as in I did not.
which meant less testing time.
No, when I started pre-reg, when I wasn't testing and I was dispensing anyway, then I would sit down and measure up varies and then have somebody check it. And then they did it 2 or 3 times and then I got the hang of it, like a normal person. So, Usman, what did you do in university? Did you work? Did you have any placements or experience?
So I had 2 concurrent jobs, one in Edinburgh, where I'm from. That's where home is.
Are you from Edinburgh?
Edinburgh.
I didn't know that.
Does he not sound Scottish?
I didn't realise.
Very thick Scottish accent. And the other one was at the university in Ireland, Ulster University. So that one was an OCT technician. So I think it was a bit of an initiative that the optometry department, which had a clinic inside, that they were doing. They just got, they had an OCT, but they updated the OCT and they hired 4 pupils from the class. And basically we just did pre-testing. So we'd come and they'd know we were free because it was in times that our clinics were meant to be on, but just our clinics wouldn't be on. They knew when we'd be working, when we weren't. So say I've got a clinic on a Friday and I'm empty on this Wednesday. They'd put me in for Wednesday morning. So I'll be pre-testing other people's patients for Wednesday morning.
For the university clinics?
Or my other peers.
Ah, right.
Exactly,
Okay.
because they know
Is
that,
that
okay,
an actual job?
yeah. So I got paid for it.
So why didn't they pre-test their own patients? Surely that makes more sense. To make the
Not
person who's doing the eye test to do their own pre-test, if it's a learning experience.
No.
And then
It's,
save money by paying you guys.
So it's 2 parts. I didn't do like the IOPs or the photos or the autorefractors. That was done by my peers.
So what were you doing?
OCT, just OCT. I just sit on an OCT machine.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone would come in, I do the OCT, and I'd send them on. Literally.
Okay, so what did you do at Edinburgh then?
At Edinburgh, I was an optical assistant at a multiple.
So you took the ferry on the weekends to...
It was tough. It was tough. So when I first applied I applied to a different, same brand, same company, different one. I got through the process, but then I left for university, so I couldn't take that job. And this other one, I told them I studied in Ireland. This is only going to be for holidays. And they're like, yeah, cool. Found it on Indeed and went over there, never having done optics before. And
What year were you in?
this was before starting first year.
So they took you on knowing that you had no experience at all.
0.
I mean, that's generally how most OAs start, though, because like that's how the apprenticeship starts and things like that. They don't have any experience in it.
Yeah, but in an apprenticeship, you're being taught. There's a structured kind of learning alongside of it.
Yeah, but
I think most
it
multiples
works
would be-
similarly because they knew that he was studying to do optometry, so his
Even then,
studying
most
side
of
is different.
most of my colleagues that were optical assistants, they weren't studying or anything like that.
They were doing their apprenticeships.
No,
Most of them do.
no.
Yeah, cert 1, cert 2, cert 3.
Well, it might be different in Scotland, but most of them didn't. Well, most of them were just
applied as a sales job.
exactly a retail position.
I'm not sure back in the day how it was, but I'm not sure if it's legally now they have to. But
Every OA does not have to do an apprenticeship.
they don't, do they?
No.
No. So
Well, I think
why do
stores
some
would be a bit
multiples
reluctant
offer
to.
it? So what's the
I think
point of
stores
doing
would be reluctant to because if you're going to hire somebody who has no optical experience and that's basically a full apprenticeship's worth of training you've got to give them on your own back.
So
For no reason other
why
than to get them.
do these multiples really try and push people to do apprenticeships?
That's worth asking a director. I would imagine it's because cheap labor.
I think it is because
Paid
of that,
less.
but-
That's one factor. But then also, if you're going to bring on a retail position starting OA
yeah.
with no optical experience, to get them to the point where they're a good OA, the same process you'd go through as an apprentice, but with an apprentice, they're going to have more structured learning. They would actually get taught sessions, and then they'd get assessments, and they'd have to actually study in their own time, because they would have an incentive to work to qualify as an OA, so that their pay would go up. Whereas if you were just there as a retail position, first of all, you'd be getting better pay, and second of all, there's no incentive for you to hurry up and learn how to dispense varies, because why do I need to dispense varies? I'm paid the same for doing pre-testing. But then the person who can only pre-test isn't as valuable a member of staff as the person who's versatile in all the different.
But there's so many more. It's also, you can tell that the person that is doing an apprenticeship, they're a bit more invested in it because they applied for apprenticeship, they're a bit more interested, etc. They're probably
Less likely to leave after a few months.
Yeah.
Kind
so
of
on
thing.
and so forth. So I guess there is more than just cheap labor.
Yeah.
That's a
And
bit reductionist to say.
it is.
But it is.
Generally.
Shame on
But
you.
at the end of the
Shame on
day,
us. Well,
Shame on you.
at the end of the day, though, it is better for the company to get apprentices in terms of money wise.
That is a factor. That is a factor. But then there's also many other
yeah, it's
aspects to it.
objectively it would keep costs down, sure,
Yeah.
but that might not even be a thought process in many people that are considering
No.
apprentices.
No, that's true.
So I was an OA in Edinburgh. That was in really Easter, Christmas, and summer holidays. And that was all my holidays gone for
Sad.
a few years. But that's fine. And then I was
Was it worth it?
I think it was just worth it for having a job. I think I didn't.
As in, do you think
Yeah,
it was worth trading
you know
all of
what?
your free time?
You
for
know
money?
what? You know what? One of the best feelings is when you get your wage just dropped as a student. It's a pretty good feeling, that.
Or to drop. When you said dropped, I mean when you get your.
Yeah.
When you
Like-
check your bank and the payments come through.
Yeah, like a few hundred quid's just there. and you're a
But it's
student.
not much money relative to.
I mean, it's not, but like as a student, it's,
As in, you were working
it's
one day.
welcomed.
You were working one day a week, and you were taking 2 weeks of unpaid leave in the month. You'd get like maybe £50 in a month.
No, it was actually more than that.
Okay.
But it like £50 in a month helps quite a bit for a student.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Do you know what I mean? There isn't much. I didn't have a car or anything, so it's not like I had petrol.
Yeah, you just had to
expenses or
buy
anything.
chicken wings.
I just had to buy chicken wings every day. Florida.
So I felt the OCT position.
Yeah.
That kind of gave me a little bit of help. I mean, it was a fantastic scheme run by the university that obviously went so well that they, I think, cancelled it 1 or 2 years after.
Because they realised they were paying you for nothing.
They realized it was useless. We weren't getting anything. They weren't getting anything. I was slowing down the clinic because I was discussing OCT with everyone I was pre-testing. That was one of those.
How much did you learn about OCT from that?
Welcome to
No.
ACT.
I got so any OCT. I'd ask the anything funny. I'd ask the clinic director. I saw something, or he in a free time, if there was a no-show, he'd come in, he'd sit down, and he'd just go through it, and he'd take away the example, explain it, etc. So I actually did, maybe psychological, but I felt like I knew a decent amount of OCT, and that made me a lot more comfortable learning OCT in university and assessing OCT as well. So no, that did help. Seeing geographic atrophy, recognizing that, seeing where VMTs versus macular holes, etc. These things I actually remember being explained to me.
VMT versus macular holes.
Yes.
One's a traction, one's a hole.
Yeah. But it's like...
Or like when a
No, but they're
VMT becomes a
explaining
macular
it. Exactly.
hole.
They're
Yeah,
explaining it, and they're explaining that this will progress, and then this could result in going into that. This is lamellar, this is full thickness, this is going to potentially so on and so forth. And these things...
We never got that.
To be fair, we knew very little about OCT by the time we left university. I
Yeah.
learned everything in OCT in pre-reg.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
No, I think
We had an OCT. We learnt. They at one point they said to us, "Oh, this is an OCT."
Ooh, wow.
Ooh.
It was also...
And
we're
we
talking
used it
20...
once. 20.
What year? What year? 20... I graduated 2019. So this is
2020.
about 2017. So OCTs were pretty new in 2017, 2018. Not well, they've been around for 20 years, but they weren't in widespread multiples.
No.
It wasn't that common. So it was a pretty not new field. I don't want to say new field, but it was. People weren't as familiar as they are now.
You know what? It wasn't that. It wasn't like it was never part of any module that we had apart from the science of an OCT and how it works.
Really?
So we
You didn't analyze photos?
Not properly.
What was the
Scans.
what was that module in third year in the last semester, which was like optometry for the future? Emerging optometry. That was it. There was a module that was called emerging optometry, and that was just like 12 weeks of these are all the things that are going to come in the future that you need to know about. And 1 week was OCT, and they just said, "Oh, these are the layers of your retina."
Yeah, but we never like analyzed OCT images with
And-
different pathological conditions.
Like for example, the only difference in my view between a drusen and exudate, apart from the obvious stuff, is where is it in the retina. If it's subretinal, then it's sub-RPE. Subretinal, then it's drusen, and if it's in the middle of the stroma of the stroma of the retina, then it's exudate. That's the only
stroma
difference.
of the retina.
Exactly.
I don't even think that's technically
Anatomy.
correct.
Don't learn your anatomy from us, folks. It's so yeah, I would strongly encourage every student to take every opportunity handed to them. And it's not just about the money, it's not just about the job, it's not just about the CV.
Personally, as an optometry student, I think working in an optician in a store.
Wow, this is a hard sentence for you to get out.
I think it is very beneficial for pre-reg, especially if it's the same place, or at least if it's at a multiple, then the same type of same company that you work at. Just purely because it streamlines your process so much easier.
I would say
it streamlines it so much.
I would say working or doing work experience is like driving a car. You need to drive lots of different cars. You need to do different placements in different stores, independents, multiples to gain a wide variety of experience.
You know what? I don't see an issue with that. I think that would help, especially if you're going to do things like locoming and things like that. It would be good to be able to see how different companies, different stores run.
Like one thing that I've really found beneficial in my pre-reg was when you get supervised by somebody else apart from your supervisor. Yeah. If you get supervised by locums, that is an amazing thing because each supervisor will pick up a different thing. Yeah. Like I had one supervisor, he only supervised me for 1 day towards the end of my pre-reg, and he was really, really hard on record keeping.
Yeah.
So sometimes you see like a little tiny sty that's like a little tiny, what do you call them? Granulomas, is that the word? Sometimes you see those and you just ignore them because you think it's not clinically relevant. And he was really hard on that, and he said, no, you've got to record everything that you see. Every little pink macula that was like not even barely there, he was like recording it.
I think we all have that one or two locums that we remember, and we remember that when they supervised us, we had a especially fond experience or something. I remember one, but it wasn't because of the clinical aspect of it. It was just because of the general advice that they were giving about the world out there, etc. But I remember that. But I think it's a bit of confirmation bias. Mehdi and I worked, and it went well, so we think that's the right way to go about it. It's not an issue for you.
I think definitely it's good to work in the store that you're going to do your pre-reg in, which is why there's some place.
I'm not saying necessarily that. I'm saying having at least that experience of working in a store.
Oh yeah.
It definitely helps when it's
100%.
at the store that you do your pre-reg in, or at least the same company that you do your pre-reg in, because you just learn the interface and generally how things work.
For beginning pre-reg, yes, 100% I agree. But in general, optometry is good to get a range of experience shadowing people across the board, because if before you start doing eye test, if you only ever see the eye test that you've done, from your clinic supervisors in university and the director of the store that you're going to do your summer placement and your pre-reg in, then you'll only really have one way of doing an eye test in your head. Whereas if you see loads of different people do eye tests, if you shadow all the locums in the store, you'll get a wider range of the different techniques and approaches to approach.
I think they're two separate points happening.
Yeah, I think they're two separate. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying, like, when you're transitioning into your pre-reg, so for someone that wants to do their pre-reg,
100%,
working at a store at least at the same company is very beneficial, because it skips over the step of you having to learn the store and the interface that you work with, which just means that you have more time to just focus on the pre-reg part and
Or you could
the
just
college part, basically.
grow up and learn the interface on the first week like a
Yeah,
normal
but
person.
it makes things a bit. It's like you already have a little bit of stress. You already have
Yeah.
stress when you're starting out, and this is just making it a bit more tricky.
Grow up.
So
No,
it's
a lot of people are stressed out.
Oh yeah, no, of course, everybody.
I remember when I was my pre-reg, like I would see like a mild nuclear sclerosis, and the VA's like dropped to like 6.6 - 1, and I'm going crazy. I'm like, what do I do? I don't want to
I don't
get
mean in
struck
the
off.
test. I mean in the struck off. I mean when you start pre-reg, for example, you don't
Yeah.
test for the first week or two, don't you?
I tested 2 days in,
I
and
didn't-
this is what I wanted to say.
I didn't test for the first 3
No,
weeks.
this is what I wanted to say.
Okay,
I-
you are different. You
this is
guys
the-
are different. I didn't test for 2 weeks, but that was because I was learning how to dispense in that time.
So no, this is what I wanted to say. I didn't do my pre-reg in the same store, but it was a sister store. They're opening up. I was the first pre-reg, and I was able to test on a Tuesday or the first day, and said, okay, you're testing on Thursday. I was a bit taken aback. It was the first time testing after university, but I would not have been able to do that without being familiar with the system, and I'm glad that I did. I definitely think I definitely agree with both of you. It is so many times, and it's not a real big obstacle. None of this is a big obstacle.
No.
I'm just considering, I'm just streamlining it. So many times we hear about somebody and they just had one brand path. So they just went with Specsavers throughout their entire career. They went with Vision Express, Boots, whatever, from, working
Summer placement.
summer placement. No,
pre-reg.
not even before summer placement.
Work
Just as an oil on the
experience.
weekend.
Went
summer
in for
place-
their eye test.
Yeah, their mum worked at Boots.
Their
no,
father before him and his father before him.
They're kind of ingrained then, I guess. I guess fair enough for them. But no, so working on weekends, summer placement, they're pre-reg, and then they're there, and then they find, hold on, I'm a little bit stuck. And then only eventually maybe they start locoming, or maybe they find a great opportunity, maybe they move houses, maybe they do something else, and then they transition away from Specsavers, which has Boots, whatever it may be. It's this is where I would have liked to have explored a little bit before I started.
Yeah.
I was happy with how it turned out, but I might have been happier if I spent a week at Vision Express, if I spent a week at Specsavers, if I spent a week at Boots, and then figured out, okay, I actually quite like how they do it.
This
Exactly. I really exactly. Or maybe we can learn, okay, hold on, but Specsavers doing this, but Boots were doing that. Maybe I can have a chat about doing this at this store, or vice versa, whatever it may be. Names you can chop and change around. Independence, I'm sure I could learn a lot from a lot of independents. You get a lot of very high-end independents that I feel that I wish I could learn a lot more, but because I was working somewhere, I wasn't going to be able to say, I take a week off so I can go and shadow that. And it's a bit long. So yeah, I would have liked to have gone around a little bit and explored a little bit, gone not just with different practitioners and within different fields of the same store, but also with different stores, even if it's just a couple of days, just to see what I like.
100%. My experience in a true independent was very, very different to my experience in a multiple. And hospital placement as well.
But how you get hospital, that's a bit different.
We never got a proper hospital placement.
Oh, you guys didn't.
We got the online version.
Nor did you in the pre-reg.
In the pre-reg, that's what I mean.
Did you get in university?
Yeah, we got it in the university.
Oh, okay. You got something.
We got something.
I got a day in.
But the pre-reg one is more fun.
Why?
Because you actually do stuff.
No, I did stuff with the other one. Actually,
What
no, I
did you
didn't.
do?
I just sat there.
Yeah.
I was at
You're
the end
getting
of
mixed up.
first year. I was sat there on the ward doing absolutely nothing. And then when the worst part was because the guy that I went with, he does like 1 day a week in hospital, and he brought me there for the first 2 hours. I shadowed his clinic, and his was like I think he had like anterior eye problems. He was seeing like recurrent, infections and styes and things like that. And then he had like some keratitis and stuff like that he was seeing, some like recurrent keratitis and stuff. And then he said, okay, you don't actually know enough about this pathology for it to be useful to you at all. Or like there was somewhere he was doing like retinal stuff as well. So then he said, oh, just shadow this other person. They're an optometrist. They're going to be doing post-op cataracts assessments. So shadow them for a couple of hours. Then after lunch, you can go shadow the keratoconus clinic, and then in the late afternoon, you can shadow this.
You're chopping and changing around. This was during university.
No, this was on the 1 day.
In 1 day.
In 1 day, I just shadowed about 4 clinics. But the funny part was, because there was so much chopping and changing. The person that I came with, who gave me a lift from the train station, left me at like 10 a.m. I went back and had lunch with him, but then at one point at like 4 o'clock, I'm shadowing this lady who's doing like pre-operative assessments, and then she says, "Oh, just pop into the next room and get that file for that patient."
Yeah.
By the time I've walked from this room to that room, I've forgotten her name, I've forgotten the patient name, and I knock on the door of the consultant of that ward.
You're staring at him.
And they're like, "Can I get the file for Mr. Was it Williamson? I think it was Williamson." And then he goes, "Right, who are you?" And then I said, "Oh, I'm the student on placement today. I'm with the lady, the optometrist in the third room from the end." And then he said, "Right, I'll come with you for a second." He walked me back to the room, and they're like hand on my shoulder the whole way. And then he opened the door. He goes, "Hi, Katie," and she goes, "Oh, you got the file? Oh, cheers, thank you." And then he goes, "Is he with you?" "Yeah, okay."
He thought you were some loony.
He
that
thought I was just a
rolled off the patient
random person opened the
Thought you
door.
were being-
"Hi, I'm with the optometrist
Oh,
in
that optometrist
you
there.
know the one in
That lady
the
one.
one in the room over there." God, he must have thought I was a...
So yeah, closing remarks. It's everyone's an individual. What works for you might not work for somebody else. What works for somebody else might not work for you. You might prioritize or prefer different things, and that's absolutely fine. We find that gaining as much experience as possible in as many avenues as possible helped us, and I would advise that. I'd recommend that. But see you in the next one.